Guten Tag. Welcome back to the run across Europe. We are technically in the Black Forest, the northern edge of it. Just got into it last night. Jesus. We have an insane amount of hills today. So I've only done about 6 kilometers and I just had lunch there and got 25 more to go. It's going to be a short day, but well, short distance, but I've got 700 meters of elevation to do, which is going to be pretty much equal to my most in a day. I had a quick look, the last time I did that I done a 50k day. So yeah, it's just now getting around it today, nothing but hills. Even the start of the day was a massive hike, and the last 10 kilometers is going to be the majority of it, about 400 or 500 meters just straight up. So that's part of the reason I'm recording now, is this is the flattest section of the day. So to save you hearing me hiking and huffing and puffing, I said we'd do here. It is very warm as well. We're back into the low 30 degrees, but it's very humid. And it's right about midday, about 1 o'clock. See, very flat. You can kind of see on the maps what's ahead of you elevation wise, and if it's showing this is flat, just let you know what you're in for later. Whoa. Yeah, nice enough campsite last night. I got chatting to this German guy, he was there with his 2 kids. Yeah, the 2 kids with him, just 3 and 6. He was just saying the 3-year-old said he wanted to go camping, so he just took him for the night. He's saying he lives like just literally around the corner. So yeah, he was nice. He'd done a fair bit of travelling, so I got some good advice from him. Because he's saying he cycled over the Alps a couple of times, so I was able to discuss the routes with him. You know, I was saying I wasn't sure which way to go, but he was saying the way I had planned by going by Innsbruck in Austria, he was saying that's probably the best way. He was saying it's not the most beautiful, but that's comparing it to like the most beautiful part of the Alps. But he was saying it's relatively flat. Now it's the Alps, so he was like, you know, still a crazy amount of elevation, but it is yeah, so we will see how it goes, because that would mean not going to see my friend Sander, but it was the way I was planning to go anyway. Can I stay here? I don't know. So yeah, at the minute I think that's the plan, because if I keep going east, I was telling them I was going to just keep going east to was my mate, but he was just saying it's just nothing but people, you know, densely populated areas. And then when I went to look for a campsite this morning, that's kind of what I was seeing. It was just a big empty spot where I couldn't get a campsite, so I'm kind of getting dragged south either way, because this is where more nature is, so more nature equals more campsites. And he was telling me about a valley that goes like directly south. He's like, that'll get you a good chunk of the way towards the Alps, and this campsite is right at the start of that. So yeah, something to think about. He's done a fair bit of travelling. He was saying, like, he was saying next on the list he wants to go to Kyrgyzstan, because he likes skiing, and he just said they've got this really cool mountain that's really hard to get to. You need to get like horses and stuff. But he was saying you have to wait a few years for the kids to get older, so we can take a month off, you know. But he was telling me about, he was saying he had mates who cycled through the Balkans, and they were saying Bosnia is the most beautiful place they've seen. I don't know in the whole world, but they were just saying Bosnia's unreal and the people are really nice. So that was just nice to hear, you know. I'd heard that before about Albania and Bosnia and the likes, because I don't know, people in Ireland have no idea. They just know, you know, there was a war there, and there was a lot of refugees came in the 90s, so they just associate it with poverty and it's being rough, you know. So they're like, oh, be careful. But I was like, you have no idea what it's like, you know. Like, every country has its dodgy areas. It's going to have a few bad apples, but in my experience, the worse a reputation a place has, the nicer the people tend to be, to like overcompensate for it. Now, you know, I might have that reputation for a reason, like Colombia. The people were like overly nice, because I think they only wanted to counteract their reputation, but at the same time you're still very likely to get robbed in it, you know. I'm gonna end up on the edge of a town. I can't remember the name of it. Something with a P, Provsheim or something, and it has an Intersport which I wanted to go into to get some runners. So I'm considering it, but it will be like a 5-6k detour. And it's slow moving this morning, because I knew I was only doing 30k. it's like 1 o'clock already, you know. So I might just leave it and hit the next one. There was a family of campers staying, you know, there's always the caravan and the space for people with camper vans and stuff, and then you have the tent pitch area, and the tent pitch area here was pretty small. But it was this family, like this guy and the wife, they had like 3 daughters, but they're all old enough, you know, like adult daughters. And this is my turn. It's just kind of unusual to see that when you also have that many people. Normally they'll get the camper van going, you know. But the dad had a Hulk Hogan hair, like bald on top with long locks on the side, and it was just weird, really weird. Pretty confident look, I'll give him that. But it was bizarre. It was very, like, he was a massive guy, like tall, just broad shoulders, you know, like just looked like he had farmer strength, you know. And then, but I made eye contact with him, and you know, when you're passing people in these campsites, a lot of times you say hello or just a smile or a nod. So I just gave him the smile and the nod. They just stared at me, like, I don't know, they just had a weird vibe about them, the whole family. I was like starting to think they were Amish, so I googled it, because I know that the Amish come from Holland and Germany, the American ones, you know. So then I googled it, and apparently the Amish don't exist here anymore, but there is something called the Mennonites, which I didn't google it for too long. They're just kind of a very serious religious sect, you know. So I've no idea if they were part of that. But all the women had kind of long dresses on. He had kind of farmer looking gear, and just that haircut alone, I was like, you don't live in regular society, you know. Yes, I was saying yesterday, that was 2 months, and I was looking at the total amount of kilometers done. So for the first month I did 1,000 bang on, but the last one I only did 890, which is very disappointing. And then I was looking, I took 6 days off, and like 3 of the days I did like one I did 10k and 2 I did 20. Mostly from that break getting sick and then going to the doctor, because even when I started to feel alright, then, you know, I was like, alright, it's tomorrow Sunday, I'm taking the day off because I know which doctor I'm going to, and he's not open till Monday. And then it was 10k to him on Monday, and then the next day I had to go to the different doctor, and that was only 20 or 25k. And then the next day I had to take that off because I got the shot. So it was just, yeah, always going to happen. I've gone for 5 months, but I really have to just stay consistent now. Try and make this month even better. Then, like I said, 30 today is not ideal, but with the elevation gain and just the way the campsite's worked out again, you know, it's like it's either this one or do 50k. And yeah, you know, 50k is generally the aim each day, but just a lot of elevation. I just said I'll do the 30. Start again tomorrow. PFORZ That's the town I was trying to pronounce. Remember the name. Funny with the Germans, like I've said it before about how they have a lot of people who do long distance hiking and stuff, you know, so they're not as perplexed by the buggy and stuff, but they are still like, oh, you're running well, you know, that's fair play to you. Like the guy in reception, I got chatting to him for a sec about it as well, and then that guy I said I was talking to, but nobody ever asks, how you doing for charity? You know, where with England it was like, well, you're doing for charity, aren't you? You know, it's assumed. Whereas here you just say run to Istanbul, they're like, oh, cool, respect. They're like saying respect. Yeah, but I'm just not one to offer information if it's not asked, you know. So, like, say I'm just talking to him about it, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it for charity, by the way. It just feels like I'm then asking him for money, you know. Which, you know, maybe I should be a bit more open about it and try to raise more money, but it's just not my nature. Even that's not just like with charity, it's I think it's an autistic thing, because when you learn to mask, you won't get all into masking and stuff, but I don't know, you're just kind of on the back foot. You kind of learn to react, not to act, because action puts you in charge of the social situation, and when you're younger you act weird so much that you kind of get bullied and stuff just into being quiet and sitting back and just spoken to kind of thing, you know. There's one example I remember is I was just working in this place. There was just a woman that worked there, and you know, just quiet, and only afterwards I was like, she was clearly looking for just start a conversation. She was just like, oh, Matt, I've heard you've done a fair bit of travelling, and I was just like, I have, yeah. And then she didn't ask another question, so I didn't say anything else, you know what I mean? And then only afterwards it was just like, yeah, that's kind of rude, you know. Now where am I going? Cycleways to the right. And that's the way we have to go. Take a second break. Another thing I find with a conversation and being a little tizzy is people generally tend to ask indirect questions, because being direct is rude, you know. Like one example that happened when I was in England, I don't think I mentioned it, but I just came in, I was a sweaty mess, you know. And there was a manager who was working there, and she was just pottering around, you know, and she was nice. Like, I actually got chatting to her for a second, because the plugs weren't working or something, so I just asked her to what the story was, and she had to switch them on and stuff. And then she asked me, was that my buggy outside? And I was like, yeah. And then it was just a few minutes later, she's like, yeah, so it's warm outside, is it? And I was like, nah, it's warm, it's not too bad. Tight squeeze. But I only realised afterwards, the reason she was asking was because I was a sweaty mess. So instead of going, why are you a sweaty mess? Just ask, is it warm outside, you know? So it's not the end of the world, but it's just those sort of examples do happen a lot, you know? And I find people are, that's kind of what, that's a big part of, you know, they say that, ooh, we got a dog. When they say that communication's non-verbal, even though that's a verbal conversation, the actual question was non-verbal, you know what I mean? It was hidden. And that happens a lot, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff, you know. Where are we going? This way. Why not? Why not? Now, I haven't got the time. Oh, it's time. But yeah, I am bad at promoting the fundraiser in person. But if you're watching this and you'd like to donate, check out the link in the bio. I'll put a link to it there for Autism Assistance Dogs. It's a really good cause, and any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. One thing I've noticed on the continent is postman is a woman's job here, but delivery driver is almost exclusively men. So like in Ireland you do get the odd woman post person or whatever you call them, but it would definitely be male dominated. But here it's very much female dominated. But every delivery driver I've seen is a man. Okay, next left. face, but he shit himself. Yeah, if I take the route through Innsbruck in Austria, I need to check if that's right. I just know it starts with an N, something with a B. Could be Innsbrucken or something like that, but it means I'll get out of Germany a bit quicker. And Germany is one of the countries I wanted to see the most on this trip, but it would still be a good chunk of it. And novelty is very helpful on a trip like this. Do you know what I mean? So just doing weeks and weeks in the same country, kind of just getting to a new country gives you a little pep in your step. And then it would also have Italy on, just to make another extra country. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully right. Indeed. Right and straight. Excuse me, a little wind assistance. Okay, finish up in this shade. See, it's time for Wasser. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what you think of Germany so far. Leave us a comment if you haven't already. Please subscribe, drop a like if you feel like it, and thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Auf Wiedersehen. Hello. I think he thought I was talking to him. Tschüss.